Hey, how's everybody doing? I hope you're taking the necessary precautions. I'm wearing my mask when I need to, if I'm out in public or somewhere I feel that I don't want to make anyone else unsafe, although I'm feeling good and healthy, and I hope all of you are too. So I am going to introduce to you Project One for the middle school and high school students. And I have, which will be available, is all the instructions that go along with this project. We're going to be doing aluminum and tin embossing. And just a couple fun facts. Embossing dates back to the 15th century when printing truly became a professional yet limited method. Printmaking and the printing press really came about, like I said, in the 15th century, and what it did was allow for multiple images. Well, engraving began as an art form, but then later evolved into marketing and advertising, and there are lots of other fun creative expressions, which I'm going to show you today. So what you're going to get in your kit is enough material to make, this is my fun little embossing project. It's simply made with aluminum foil, matte board as my backing board, and some decorative paper on the back, which I put a fun stamp on. But you could do anything. You could write a poem, you could put words, you could draw your own picture, or you could make or use stamps, even just corks, fun little objects that you could, create decorative patterns with. All sorts of fun things. So what you'll get in your kit is some pictures. These are some pictures of birds. Okay. You'll get some tracing paper, and this is what I use to trace my image on, and then trace it onto my backing board, which I'll show. Or you can also just draw your own. You don't have to use these, and they don't have to be birds. They can just be abstract designs. So here we have more of a representational image. On the thicker tin, which I have here, and is this one, we have a mythical object, or image, of a dragon. So you can just create your own or make up your own, or find images on the internet, and however you like to transfer them onto your block. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the aluminum foil, this is heavy duty aluminum foil, and it's, you can see, very thin, and it's right out of your kitchen or in the grocery store, very easy to attain. This tin is a little thicker. It's still aluminum. It's thicker, has a little more rigidity to it, and this was purchased from an art supplier, in this case, Blick. Okay, so I'm gonna use both and show you how to make and create. So this is the backing board. It's a piece of matte board that I've had, and I'll be sending you a piece similar to this size. Now, the whole idea of these kits is that you can learn something new, and then hopefully you take it in any direction you like. If you don't have the kit or missed out on getting one, again, the kits are made out of basic things that you should be able to find around your house, or if someone's going to the grocery store or the dollar store, could pick something up. Again, being very careful about your social distancing. Okay? You'll see that I have marks on this side of the mat board. That's because when you're first creating a board, especially, it's not that important with this one, but boards have grain. And you want when we're gonna make books later, we have to know which way the grain is going in the mat board, the overall board. But when you cut it into smaller pieces, it's harder to check. So you'll see quite often when you're hanging out with me that a lot of my boards have lines on the back. Again, that's showing the grain direction. Okay, now how do we do this? Well, let me reach for a pencil or something. Oh, I gotta get my scissors too. Okay, now you can, let's see, trace. This is tracing paper, which you'll get in your kit. And I traced a bird somewhere. I had a bird, this probably something like this, and I traced it. And then after I traced it, I took my backing board and I put the image on my backing board. And I pressed down in and around the image. And it leaves a very slight line. And you see I'm going off, but that's okay. And you can add other elements that might not be in the image. Of course, there's lots of plants here, so why not make some plants? And the textures, if you want to. There's the bird's foot. And I'm holding down, making sure not to move it, and I'm checking, and there's a very faint line here. You may not be able to see it, but I did actually emboss a line. So now I can kind of trace this line. And I can see where my bird elements and lines, shapes, and forms are. Again, if you want to add some textures and leaves and other fun things, go right ahead. Just draw them in. There's no right or wrong. I put in a nice little horizontal line. I have my shape is mostly in the center, so this is lending itself to a symmetrical composition. And maybe I'll put something here. Okay, now what's next? Well, I should have lots of fun things here to put down and glue on. For instance, this is just some fun texture I found. So I could rip this and put down with my glue stick. And with my glue stick, I'm just going to randomly place some of this texture because the texture makes nice embossing. Again, embossing is creating low relief impressions. Usually some are decorative. So I'm just going to mess around. I'm doing this somewhat quickly. I also, I don't know, I see some things over here, some paper here. I'm just gonna fold this. By folding the paper, actually I think I'll rip it. So I'm acting a bit random. I'm gonna kind of rip it into the wing shape and glue that down. So I'm just trying to get some fun shapes here going. Take a paper clip actually, and I'll kind of put it here, if I can. There, and just lay it down. Now what I'd really like is a button. Oh, I also have this fun texture. Packaging material is really fun. Buttons are great. I'm not putting buttons in your case, but this is what I use for the eye, a button. I have some buttons down here. I have the packaging material, and then I just tore some paper to get this kind of leaf shape. So everything's down. I'm going to just drop some more paper in because the more layers you build up, the more emboss and interesting embossing marks will appear. If I didn't do anything, then nothing would really happen. So you can experiment with this and you can take it off and on to see if you're getting the results you want. So here we go. A simple aluminum foil, all right? I am not crinkling mine. You could probably crinkle yours and then put it down because again, that adds nice texture. And I'm going to also, I want to use this kind of as the eye. I don't know how that's going to work, but We'll see. A button works really good. I'll just put it there, see what happens. Okay. I'm also gonna take a piece of here. See, I'm just cutting out little shapes, and I'm working a bit quickly, but really take your time and think about this. Think about why you're making the shapes, why you picked what you did, why you're arranging them, and how. Just for demonstration, I am going a bit quickly, but when I made this one, I probably spent almost 45 minutes or so just thinking about it, how I wanted to do it. I cut it out. Also, if you can't draw or you don't want to trace, you can also just cut the whole image out and glue it down to the backboard. Okay, now I'm going to put on my aluminum foil. And I'm not going to worry about cutting it right now. In fact, the best way to do it might be this way, because then I can line it up. I want to make sure I have enough overlap on both sides. I'm not going to need all of this, so I'll just cut it. And you have to do a somewhat fairly neat job folding this over. You just want to get it on there so that it'll stay. Notice, if you want, you could take your glue stick and run this like that to get it to stay down better. Now hopefully comes the fun part. As you can see, it's just clear. There's really no surface relief happening on this. But as you use your finger and you gently rub, hopefully some fun things start happening. Here's my paper clip. Some of my fun textures. Okay, so some things are appearing, but my bird's not appearing. So what I would do is I would take this off, and I would come back and I would build up the relief of my bird. And how do you do that? You could just take more paper. I could trace my bird out again. Trace, trace, trace. And then just sort of cut the shape of the bird out. Okay? And this is how I'd build up my relief. I would just keep on building up my layers and maybe make 3 or 4 of these pieces of paper, okay? And then put it down over my bird shape and build up so the thickness becomes a relief. And this is called a low relief embossing. And then I'm sure I would put this back on. And it doesn't matter if you change what direction you put it back on. And you press and press. And with the correct relief, you're going to then get this kind of embossing. I don't know if you can see it. It's not real high, but it's enough. When you get to that point, where this might be what you want. Again, my bird isn't appearing. Okay, you're going to put a backing on it, a decorative backing. And use your glue stick, you glue it on, and then you can use scissors to trim so that it comes out trimmed all the way around. An option is, before you glue this paper down, is to take some string String makes great embossing too. In fact, I should have used the string to show you. But you could take some string like this, glue this down, put on my back, I would trim it. And then you can hang it. The next thing you can do is, I'm not going to be able to put magic markers in your kit, but magic markers work really well. And what I did was I followed each of my embossed shapes. Some are high and some are valleys, they're low. And I just took my time and I colored in my, my shapes. Another thing you can do, which gives a patina look, is you can take like an acrylic wash. Acrylic wash is just acrylic paint thinned down, and you can kind of brush it on and let it dry, and then take a paper towel and wipe it off. So that is the first project. This one is basically the same. Here again, for this, I built up a little relief. And you can see this is very non-objective, which means just shapes. And here we have a dragon. So it's the same process, a little bit different. With this one, you have your mat board. And you put it over the mat. You put this over. Again, let's see, I think I cut a piece out already here. Yeah. Okay. Here. So this time, I added some relief to the board. And you could do this beginning here and with this one. Okay, so this is a non-objective. I'm putting it here this is the thicker, not the thin, this is the thicker piece of tin. I'm going to, right from the beginning, I'm going to fold this and get it in place. You're going to need scissors because it's easier to fold if you kind of just cut the corners a little bit and fold it in. See what happens if you don't fold it in? It kind of gets all jammed up like that. So just cut it. Almost like wrapping a present. And you can fold that over, or you can just cut it. Finish that. Just cut the edges. Don't cut yourself. This is kind of sharp. There we go. Now, again, I have a nice clean surface. Okay. A bit tricky there. So far, this is what my back looks like. Now, I have that low relief there. So if I start with my finger, you'll see that the rectangles appear. I don't know if you can see that or not in the light. But you can also just take an image too, and I believe this should work. And you'll get one of these, a skewer. Yeah, you can, I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but you can draw in the dragon or any other shape. Let's see, I'm gonna have a more pointy skewer for you. So you can draw in the dragon. This was the beginning of the dragon shape, okay? By tracing, using your tracing table paper or just this. Or I like to do is just make an abstract kind of fun using lines and shape and come up with your own design. You can start, as these as reference points and just kind of make this fun, organic, with some geometric shape design. It's really fun. And you can do all sorts of embossing with this skewer. You see I just put in some circles. When you're thinking about your composition, remember to try to work the whole surface and think about your negative and positive space. Think about your line, where it comes in and off the plane of reference. And then again, you just take your markers and you fill in and you just have a really good time coloring it. And then when you're finished, same thing, you would glue on a backing like this. Again, if you want to use the string, and I'll put the string in the kit, or you can just have it like this. You can put a poem or a story, a haiku. You can name it, name the dragon or whatever image is on. These make nice little gifts. They're fun. Okay, so basically that is the first project. Just to go over again, you'll have all the directions here, a little bit of history about tin and embossing, all the directions step by step on how to create your embossed project. And I don't know, I think it'll be a lot of fun. It seems very simple, and it is, but again, you're smart, innovative people, and I think that you could take this and turn it into an incredible project and share it with your friends and family. All right, thanks, have fun, see you soon, stay safe.